Hello and welcome to this quick demonstration of pdf2Data. Today's topic is creating a multiple use template with pdf2Data. Now, a multiple use template is simply a single template that can successfully extract data from multiple source PDF documents. Let's get started. Now, for this demonstration, we will be focusing on not one, not two, but three reference or source PDF documents representing three invoices. Let's now take a quick peek at the key differences between these invoices, specifically invoice number and the due date and how they differ from document to document. We'll summarize this in just a bit. Okay, before we create our multi-use pdf2Data template, let's summarize the differences we've found between the documents, specifically invoice number, which is known across the documents as invoice #, invoice number with first letter capitalized, and then invoice NBR, as well as payment due date, which is known across the three documents as due date, pay before, and due on or before. Let's go ahead and create that multi-use template. All right, let's create our multi-use template. As you can see, we're inside of pdf2Data. I'm going to give our template a name of multi-use, and I'm going to select as our reference PDF one of those three invoices. Let's pick that first one. And as you can see, pdf2Data has loaded in the invoice. And if I notice, the two fields for this particular demonstration are invoice number and due date. So let's create a new data field. We'll call this invoice number. And notice in the invoice itself, there's a label here or an anchor, followed horizontally, line by line, the actual value. So that particular selector, best practices, is pattern. We're going to leave it as type of text because the value is a combination of characters and numbers. And what I'm going to do here is add 3 prefixes and 2 suffixes. Specifically, the prefixes, as you remember from our 3 reference PDFs, it was known as invoice #. It was also known as invoice number with the capitals. And then lastly, invoice NBR in all caps. And just looking at the data, I'm going to give the editor some help. I know that it's followed by this suffix called subtotal. So we can add a limiter here. We'll add it, and we'll just say subtotal here. Let's go ahead and create our field, and notice at the bottom our result is in fact our invoice number. So that's our first field. Let's add another field now for the due date. So we'll simply call this field due date. I'm going to add a selector that's also a pattern. Notice in this case though, it's actually a date. So I'm going to specify date. And I'm going to tell it what the date is in this case. And we're going to add some limiters. And if you recall from the 3 invoices, due date was known as due date, was also known as pay before, and it was also known as due on or before. And those are our 3 prefixes. Let's go ahead and create this field. And as you can see, the result is August 13, 2024. So we've now created 2 fields in this multi-use template. Okay, let's go ahead and save our template. And built right into the editor, we're going to be able to test this template against our 3 reference PDFs. So the first execution will be against the PDF that was used to create this template. And here you can see our first extraction is August 13, 2024 with that invoice number. I'm going to download that result as JSON. This is to my local machine. Let's go ahead and run scenario or test number 2. I'll use the second PDF that we saw earlier. And in this case here, we have a different due date, different invoice number, and as you know, they both had different labels or anchors as far as the pattern. Let's go ahead and download this result as JSON as well. And then our final scenario, we'll choose the third invoice against this same template. And as you can see, we have July 4th, 2024 and a separate invoice number. We can now download that result as JSON as well. Let's take a look at this JSON inside of Visual Studio Code. Okay, now let's take a look at the downloaded JSON files. This is my local machine. I have the 3 downloaded files highlighted here. I'm going to open that up within Visual Studio Code, which you can see here. Here's our first extraction, the 2 fields, due date. If you remember, that was the value of that particular invoice with that invoice number. The second extraction, different due date, different invoice number, followed by our third extraction, again, different due date and different invoice number. So this concludes this demonstration of creating a multi-use template across different reference PDFs. Thanks so much. Bye now.